All right, so you're prepping for a wine fermenter interview and really want to wow those winemakers.
Yeah.
We're going to do a deep dive into RoleCatcher's guides,
Awesome.
give you the knowledge and confidence to just crush it.
Sounds great.
It's like we're aging those interview skills to perfection.
Love that.
We've got excerpts from RoleCatcher's career guide, their interview guide, and even some info on their AI-powered platform.
That's exciting.
Yep.
What I find fascinating is that RoleCatcher really provides this multifaceted approach.
Okay.
It's not just about, memorizing a bunch of answers. It's
Right.
about really understanding what that interviewer is trying to get at
Mm.
and showcasing the skills that you have and
Yeah.
presenting yourself as somebody with genuine passion.
I like it. So let's break this down a bit.
Sure.
Let's start with like the basics.
Okay.
What does a wine fermenter actually do?
A wine fermenter transforms crushed fruit into wine through the magic of fermentation.
Okay.
They're the guardians of those massive tanks you see.
Yeah.
They're monitoring the process meticulously, adding ingredients like yeast, making sure that no unwanted bacteria is going to spoil the batch.
Right.
It really requires an incredible attention to detail
Yeah.
and a deep understanding of the science behind it.
So it's like a blend of scientific knowledge,
Yes.
but also a little bit of artistry.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where RoleCatchers focus on skills like operations monitoring,
Uh-huh.
production and processing knowledge,
Yeah.
and mechanical skills really come in.
Okay.
These are like the backbone of a wine fermenter's success.
You're talking about constantly monitoring those gauges,
Right.
making sure the fermentation is progressing perfectly,
Yes,
knowing the ins and outs of production
absolutely.
from the raw materials all the way to quality control.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the whole mechanical aspect of it.
Right.
Wine fermenters are very hands-on with the equipment,
Yes, they are.
so you have to know how it works. Okay, so let's dive into some of the sample interview questions that RoleCatcher gives us.
All right.
These kind of give us a sneak peek into what those interviewers might be looking for.
Yeah.
So let's start with a classic one.
Okay.
Can you walk me through your experience with wine fermentation?
A good one.
Now, what are they trying to gauge here with this kind of opener?
What they're looking for is a really clear and concise overview of your journey in the world of wine fermentation.
Okay.
It's your chance to highlight the specific wines you've worked with,
Got it.
the roles you've played,
Yeah.
and any notable achievements or challenges you've overcome.
So it's not just listing off, I did this, this, and this.
Right.
It's about really painting a picture of your experience.
Exactly. Think about it like this.
Okay.
You want to share a story. You want to mention a particular wine that you were really proud of crafting.
Okay.
Talk about a time when you had to think outside the box to solve a fermentation challenge.
I like it.
Those details make you stand out.
They make your answer memorable.
Makes sense.
And they really showcase that passion that you have.
So what kind of follow-up questions might come after a question like that?
Well, they might dig a little deeper
Yeah.
into those specific wines that you mentioned.
Right.
They might ask about, what were the challenges of fermenting that particular grape variety?
Interesting.
They might ask about your preferred fermentation methods,
Okay.
how you've adapted your techniques based on the must's specific characteristics.
Got it.
It's all about showing that you really understand the nuances of wine fermentation.
And that's where RoleCatcher's AI features can come in handy, right?
Absolutely. It's a total game changer.
Yeah.
The AI can actually analyze your responses and give you specific feedback,
Wow.
helping you refine those answers for maximum impact.
So like having a coach in your pocket.
Exactly.
Okay, I love it. So let's move on to another question that RoleCatcher highlights.
Okay.
How do you ensure the quality of the wine during the fermentation process?
This one seems to really zero in on the technical side of things.
This is where you get to showcase your knowledge of quality control measures.
Okay.
Walk them through your process. How do you monitor the pH, the temperature, the sugar levels?
Right.
What tests do you conduct?
Yeah.
How do you record and analyze that data?
Got it.
They want to see a systematic approach to maintaining quality and consistency.
So they're looking for somebody who's proactive
Yeah.
and data-driven.
Exactly. Because wine fermentation is very delicate.
Right.
And they want to make sure that you have a system in place
Yeah.
for ensuring that final product meets those highest standards.
So maybe think about mentioning specific examples
Yes.
of how you've used data analysis to identify potential issues.
Absolutely.
And then implement solutions.
That's perfect.
So it's about showing you understand how everything is interconnected in that process.
Right. Now, another question RoleCatcher highlights
Okay.
is, what is your experience with different types of yeast strains? So this one's really tapping into your fermentation expertise.
Yeah, yeast is kind of the heart of it all, right?
It is the heart of fermentation.
So how should somebody approach this question?
Talk about the different strains you've worked with,
Okay.
their unique characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
and how you choose the right yeast for different wines.
Got it.
For example, you might mention using a specific strain
Yeah.
that's known for producing those fruity aromas in a Sauvignon Blanc,
Interesting.
or another one that brings out those bold and tannic notes in a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
It's all about connecting those strains to tangible outcomes,
I see.
to wines that you've actually created.
Instead of just being like, I know this yeast, and this yeast,
Right.
you're saying this is what it actually does in the real world.
Exactly. It shows a much deeper understanding
Makes sense.
of how yeast impacts flavor,
Yeah.
aroma,
Mm-hmm.
and the overall quality of that wine.
Okay.
So they might follow up
Yeah.
by asking about your experience with indigenous versus commercial yeast.
Interesting.
Or, what's your approach to yeast management?
Okay.
Like propagation and maintaining a healthy culture.
So it's almost like they're trying to get into your head as a wine fermenter
Uh-huh.
and see like how you approach these different challenges.
And that's a good thing.
Okay.
It means they're interested in your expertise.
I like it.
Now, before we move on to the next question,
Okay.
I want to touch on something from RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
All right.
They outline these different stages of a wine fermenter's career.
Okay.
Typical tasks for entry-level,
Mm-hmm.
junior,
Yeah.
and senior positions.
So why is this helpful for somebody who's prepping for an interview?
It gives you a sense of that career trajectory
Okay.
and what skills are expected at each level.
I got it.
And this can help you tailor your answers
Right.
to the specific position you're interviewing for.
So it's an entry-level position. You might be highlighting
Yes.
more your willingness to learn and, your basic understanding of fermentation.
Right.
But for a senior role,
Yeah.
you're going to be talking about leadership skills
Absolutely.
and a very in-depth knowledge of the whole process.
Precisely. And don't be afraid to
Yeah.
mention your career aspirations.
Okay.
Interviewers appreciate ambition and drive.
Yeah.
You want to show them that you're not just looking for a job.
Right.
We're looking for a fulfilling career.
I like it. Okay. So let's move on to another question.
Right.
This one's, can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a fermentation issue?
Ooh, good one.
Now, this seems like it's designed to test your problem-solving skills under pressure.
It's a classic behavioral interview question.
Yeah.
And the key here is to tell a compelling story.
Yeah.
So choose a situation where you faced a significant issue that could have impacted the wine's quality or yield.
Got it. What kind of story would really impress interviewers?
Walk them through your process.
Okay.
How did you identify the problem? What solutions did you explore? And what was the outcome?
Right.
You want to emphasize your analytical thinking,
Okay.
your decision-making,
Got it.
and your adaptability.
So, for instance, did you notice a sudden temperature spike
Yes.
that could lead to off flavors?
Exactly.
Or maybe you had a stuck fermentation that needed intervention?
Yeah.
Talk about the specific steps you took to save that batch.
Those are great examples.
So it's not just about having a happy ending.
Right.
It's about how you think
Yes.
and adapt
Absolutely.
when unexpected situations arise.
What they're really looking for
Yeah.
is someone who can remain calm under pressure,
Mm-hmm.
think logically,
Yeah.
and take decisive action. They might even ask you to reflect on what you learned from that experience
Okay.
and how you would approach a similar situation differently in the future.
Got it.
It's all about continuous improvement.
Makes sense.
Speaking of which, let's shift gears a bit.
And talk about something RoleCatcher highlights in their career guide,
Right.
which is the importance of professional development.
Why is that so crucial for somebody in this line of work?
Because winemaking is a field where new techniques and technologies are constantly emerging.
Mm-hmm.
Staying updated ensures that you're at the forefront of the industry.
So you're not just, resting on your laurels.
Right. Think about attending conferences,
Yeah.
workshops,
Yep.
tastings,
Mhm.
keeping up with those trade publications
Got it.
and scientific journals.
So it's a combination of formal learning,
Yes.
but then also those hands-on experiences.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. Now let's jump back to those interview questions.
Okay.
RoleCatcher includes one that says, how do you ensure the safety and cleanliness of the fermentation environment?
Interesting.
It's not the most glamorous topic,
Right.
but it's super important. Interviewers want to see that you understand
Mm-hmm.
that hygiene and safety have to be there.
Yes.
At every single step. It's the unsung hero of winemaking.
Sanitation.
Yeah. So what are those key points to hit
Okay.
when you're answering this question?
So describe your daily routines and protocols.
Uh-huh.
How do you clean and sanitize all of that equipment?
Yes.
What types of sanitizers do you use and why?
Right.
How do you handle the grapes and other materials to make sure you're minimizing contamination?
It's about creating that sterile environment.
For the wine.
Exactly. So mention any specific training that you've received.
Okay.
Or any safety protocols that you follow.
Got it.
Maybe share an example of a time when you spotted a potential safety issue.
Yeah.
And you took action to prevent it.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're newer to the field, you can impress them by researching those industry standards.
Okay.
You know, mentioning relevant coursework.
Yeah.
And just showing your willingness to learn the winery's specific protocols.
So it's all about demonstrating that proactive mindset.
Yes.
And that genuine interest in maintaining a safe and hygienic environment.
That's right.
All right, let's move on to another question that I think is really interesting. This one says, how do you ensure the consistency of the wine from batch to batch?
Now, that seems pretty straightforward, but what are they really looking for here?
We want to see that you understand that each batch of wine should be a faithful expression of the winemaker's vision.
Okay.
They're looking for meticulous attention to detail and a deep understanding of all the factors that can influence fermentation.
So it's not just about following the same recipe every single time.
Exactly. Because the raw materials, the environment, even slight variations in timing can impact that final product.
Makes sense.
So highlight how you track those key metrics.
Okay.
You know, the temperature, the sugar levels, the pH throughout the entire process.
Got it.
Explain how you record that data, how you analyze it, and how you make adjustments to minimize that variability. So it's all about that continuous monitoring, fine-tuning things to make sure each batch meets those quality standards.
Precisely. Now, they might follow up by asking about your experience with different fermentation control systems. Or how you handle those unexpected variations in grape quality or yeast performance.
You have to be able to think on your feet.
You do. They could also ask about your understanding of sensory analysis. And how you use it to evaluate consistency.
So it's not just about numbers, it's also about having that trained palate to be able to detect those subtle differences.
Exactly. Now remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be incredibly helpful here.
How so?
So you can input the job description, and the AI will analyze it to identify those key skills and experiences that the employer really wants. Then as you're practicing your answers, the AI will provide feedback on how well you're addressing those specific requirements.
So it's like having a personalized guide.
Precisely.
Okay, I love it. So let's move on to this next question. This one seems to kind of take us from the cellar out into the vineyard.
Okay.
Can you describe your understanding of the impact of climate on wine fermentation?
This one really broadens the scope.
It does. It's a big one.
It does. So climate plays a crucial role in grape development, which directly impacts fermentation. Interviewers want to see that you grasp that connection. So talk about how factors like temperature, rainfall, and sunlight influence grape ripeness. Sugar levels and acidity, ultimately shaping that wine's character.
So a deep understanding of viticulture is important as well.
Absolutely. The best wine fermenters understand the grape's entire journey.
From vine to bottle.
Precisely.
So what kind of follow-up questions might they ask about this whole climate impact thing?
Well, they might ask about your experience with grapes from different regions. Or vintages. Your understanding of climate change. And its potential effects on the wine industry.
It's a big one.
It is. It's a chance for you to really showcase your knowledge and your ability to think critically about these evolving challenges.
So it's not just about what you know. It's also about how you think about the future of winemaking.
Exactly. This question really allows you to demonstrate your deeper understanding of the industry and your awareness of the challenges and opportunities that climate change presents.
Okay, I like it. So we've covered a lot of ground already.
We have.
We've talked about sanitation, consistency, the intricacies of red and white wine fermentation, oak barrel aging, the impact of climate. It's been like a whirlwind tour.
It has.
Of wine fermenter knowledge.
It has.
And we've also highlighted how RoleCatcher's AI-powered platform can be a secret weapon.
Yes.
For prepping for this interview.
A total game changer.
So what key takeaways should our listener keep in mind as they gear up for that interview?
Remember to showcase your passion.
Okay.
Highlight those relevant skills.
Got it.
And demonstrate a deep understanding of the craft. Be prepared to discuss your experiences with different fermentation techniques. Your approach to problem solving. And your awareness of those broader industry trends.
Like climate change.
And
don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you tailor your answers.
Absolutely.
And practice that delivery to make the best possible impression.
Exactly.
Okay, I love it. So now let's move on to one of the most exciting parts of winemaking, in my opinion.
All right.
Sparkling wine.
Ooh.
So the next question RoleCatcher gives us dives into this bubbly world.
Awesome. What do they have in store for us?
Well, let's find out.
All right.
I'm ready to pop the cork on this one.
Let's do it. The question RoleCatcher gives us is, can you describe your experience with sparkling wine fermentation? Okay.
So this is where interviewers want to know, if you've got the chops to work with this specialized process of creating those delightful bubbles.
It's a whole other level of expertise, isn't it?
It is.
Sparkling wine production.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key things to highlight when answering a question like that?
Well, if you've got hands-on experience, you want to talk about the specific methods you've used.
Okay.
Like the traditional method, which is also known as the champagne method, or the tank method, which is sometimes called the Charmat method.
Okay.
You want to describe the challenges of maintaining those delicate bubbles.
Right.
How you monitor pressure, temperature, all of that.
What if somebody's newer to sparkling wine production,
Yeah.
but they're super excited to learn?
Sounds great.
How do they approach this question?
Research is your friend in this case.
Okay.
So familiarize yourself with those different methods.
Got it.
The types of yeast that are used.
Uh-huh.
The unique challenges involved.
And don't hesitate to express your eagerness to learn and contribute to this fascinating area of winemaking.
So it's really about showing that you're a proactive learner.
Yes.
And that you're passionate about all the different facets of winemaking.
Exactly.
All right, I love it. So the next question that RoleCatcher provides, this one takes us from the cellar back out to the vineyard.
Right.
Can you describe your understanding of the impact of climate on wine fermentation?
This question really highlights the interconnectedness of the whole process.
It does. So what are some of the key points to emphasize when answering a question like that?
We want to discuss how factors like temperature, rainfall, sunlight, all of those can influence grape ripeness,
makes sense,
sugar levels, and acidity.
Right.
And explain how those variations can then affect the fermentation process itself.
Got it.
The yeast activity, and ultimately the characteristics of that wine.
So you can give specific examples, like for instance, how a warmer growing season might lead to higher sugar levels.
Exactly.
Which then requires you to make adjustments in the fermentation process.
Right.
To prevent overly alcoholic wines.
Exactly.
So it sounds like a really solid understanding of viticulture is crucial.
Absolutely. The best wine fermenters understand that grape's journey.
From vine to bottle.
Yes. Now, interviewers might follow up by asking, about your experience with grapes from different regions, different vintages.
Got it.
Your understanding of climate change.
Right.
And its potential effects on the industry as a whole.
So it's a great opportunity.
It is.
To show off that broader knowledge.
Yes.
And your ability to think critically about the future of winemaking.
Precisely. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help here.
Okay.
Refining those answers to those more complex questions, providing tailored feedback based on those specific job descriptions.
Like having a personal interview coach.
It is.
Right in your pocket.
It is.
All right, so we've covered so much in this deep dive.
We have.
We've gone over all these crucial questions.
Yeah.
Highlighted the importance of continuous learning. And really emphasized how RoleCatcher's AI can just be a game changer.
It is.
In your interview prep.
It's a powerful tool.
So what's the main takeaway
for
our listener who's about to embark on this wine fermenter interview journey?
Go in there with confidence.
Okay.
Highlight your skills, your experience, and that passion for this incredible craft.
I love it.
Be prepared to discuss your knowledge of those different fermentation techniques,
Right.
your problem-solving abilities,
Wow.
and your understanding of how factors like climate and grape variety can really influence that final product.
That's all connected.
It is. And don't forget to let that personality shine through.
Because at the end of the day, they're not just hiring a wine fermenter.
Right.
They're hiring you.
Exactly.
So go out there.
Yes.
Impress those interviewers and create some amazing wines.
Cheers to your success.
All right, so let's uncork this sparkling wine question.
Okay, sounds good.
What's RoleCatcher got for us?
Well, they ask, can you describe your experience with sparkling wine fermentation?
Okay.
And this is really where they're trying to find out.
Yeah.
You know, do you have experience with that specialized process of creating those lovely bubbles?
Yeah, it's a whole other ball game, isn't it?
It is a whole other level.
Sparkling wine.
Yes.
So what are some of the key things to really hit on when you're answering a question like that?
If you have that hands-on experience, you want to talk about the specific methods that you've used.
Okay.
Like the traditional method, sometimes called the champagne method, or the tank method.
Okay.
Which is sometimes referred to as the Charmat method.
Got it.
You want to describe those challenges of maintaining those delicate bubbles.
It's not easy.
No, it's not.
So how do you monitor the pressure?
Right.
The temperature?
All of that.
Okay. Now, what if somebody's newer to this, to sparkling wine production, but really wants to get into it?
That's great.
How do they approach this question?
I would say research is your friend.
Okay.
You want to familiarize yourself with the different methods out there, the types of yeast that are used, those unique challenges that are involved.
Okay.
And don't hesitate to express that eagerness to learn and to contribute to this really fascinating area of winemaking.
So it's about showing you're a go-getter.
Yes.
And that you're passionate about all these different aspects.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this last question from RoleCatcher's interview guide.
All right.
This one takes us from the cellar back out into the vineyard.
Okay.
Can you describe your understanding of the impact of climate on wine fermentation?
This is a good one.
It really ties everything together.
It does.
Climate's a big deal.
Huge.
So what are some key points to emphasize when tackling a question like that?
I think it's important to discuss how factors like temperature, rainfall, sunlight, all can influence the grape ripeness, sugar levels, and acidity.
Makes sense.
And then you want to explain how those variations in the grapes can affect the fermentation process itself, yeast activity, and then ultimately the wine's characteristics.
So you can even mention specific examples like, okay, if it's a warmer growing season, that might lead to higher sugar levels in the grapes.
Right.
Which means you have to adjust the fermentation process.
Correct.
So you don't end up with these super alcoholic wines.
Exactly.
So a good understanding of viticulture is really important for a wine fermenter.
I would say it's crucial. The best wine fermenters understand that journey from the vine to the bottle.
Now, I imagine they might ask some follow-up questions about this.
Oh, definitely. Like about your experience with grapes from different regions, from vintages, maybe your understanding of climate change and how it could impact the industry.
Big topic.
It is a big one.
It's a chance to show off that you've got a broad understanding of the industry and you can think critically.
And think about the future.
About the future of winemaking.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've talked about all these different questions.
Yeah.
Highlighted the importance of continuous learning. And we've seen how RoleCatcher's AI can be a really powerful tool.
A real game changer.
When you're getting ready for this interview.
Absolutely.
So what's the final thought for our listeners out there who are about to go on those wine fermenter interviews?
You know, go in there with confidence.
Yeah.
Highlight your skills, your experience, and that passion for this incredible craft.
I love it.
Be prepared to discuss, you know, your knowledge of the different fermentation techniques, problem solving, and how things like climate and grape variety can impact that final product.
It's all connected.
It is. And don't forget, let that personality shine through.
Because ultimately, they're not just hiring a wine fermenter. They're hiring you.
They are.
So go out there, impress those interviewers, and make some fantastic wines.
Yeah, cheers to your success.
Cheers to you both.